This is one of the places that comes up again and again when people talk about retiring in Thailand. It's smaller and calmer than places like Pattaya or Phuket, but it's still got everything you need. Shops, restaurants, a long beach and a big community of people who've made this their home. But I've spent enough time in Thailand to know there's a big difference between visiting somewhere and actually living there. When you're visiting, you see the highlights. The nice beach, the good restaurant, the sunset. When you live somewhere, you see the Tuesday. And that's what I want to find out over the next 24 hours. First things first, where am I actually staying? I decided to stay in this hotel right in the centre of Hua Hin, directly opposite Market Village. And the location was one of the main reasons I chose it. The whole point of this experiment is to see if I could actually live here without spending my life jumping into taxis or driving anywhere. So I wanted somewhere where I could walk to as much as possible. This room cost me 1,022 baht for the night. And for one night, I think that's pretty reasonable. It's a fairly small room, but it's clean, quiet, and it's got everything you'd expect. Air conditioning, a TV, hot water, a little balcony, and a decent bed. My room overlooks some of the apartments around here, rather than the road, so there wasn't much of a view. But actually it was nice and quiet. There are also 2 swimming pools here, including a really nice one up on the roof. So for just over 1,000 baht a night, I can't really complain. But then I asked them the question that's probably more important if you're actually thinking about living here. How much would it cost to stay in this hotel for a month? And they said it was 30,000 baht. That includes electricity, water, cleaning and everything else. So there aren't any extra bills to worry about. But I have to say, I was expecting a bigger discount for staying for the whole month, especially as we're in the low season now. 30,000 baht isn't terrible, but I don't think it's particularly cheap either. There are hundreds of hotels and apartments around central Hua Hin, so I'd definitely shop around if I was looking for somewhere to stay long term. But the location here is superb. It's literally about 5 minutes across the road and over the bridge to Market Village, so you've got pretty much everything you need right on your doorstep. So 1,022 baht for one night, pretty good. 30,000 baht for a month, I'd probably keep looking. But for the next 24 hours, this is my home. Let's see what retirement actually looks like from here. First morning, first decision. What does breakfast actually look like here? I walked down towards the Hilton Hotel about 15 or 20 minutes from where I'm staying and stopped at Father Ted's. It's an Irish pub that's been here for many years, and it's a really popular place in Hua Hin. They do food, drinks, and they've even got live music here in the evening. But this morning I'm here for breakfast. I went for a mini fry-up and it cost me 195 baht. And to be honest, that's plenty for me. It's good sized breakfast, it's tasty, and I thought it was actually pretty good value. Now obviously you don't have to come to an Irish pub in Hua Hin for breakfast. There are loads of different places you can eat, and you can get a Thai breakfast if that's what you prefer. But I wanted to show you that if you're living here and you fancy something a bit more familiar from back home, you got plenty of Western options as well. And that's one of the things I like about Hua Hin. You've got lots of choice. Anyway, breakfast is done. Let's go for a walk. I left Father Ted's and then walked down towards the beach. It's only about 5 minutes away, so if I actually lived here, this is the sort of thing I could easily do every morning. Hua Hin's coastline is long, really long. You can walk for miles along the coast here. And this morning the tide was out, so there's plenty of beach to explore. You got people walking, jogging, exercising, horses on the beach, people just sitting around. It's actually a pretty nice way to start the day. And I can see why retirees like this place. There's no rush. You can just get up, walk down to the beach, and spend an hour wandering along here if you want to. I walked up and down for a while, had a look around, and eventually stopped at this little beachfront place called Top Secret Cafe. I had a fresh coconut, sat overlooking the beach, and just took it all in. 89 baht. While I was there, I got chatting to this American lady who was also retired. She wasn't living here, she'd been travelling around the world, moving from place to place, and had only just arrived in Hua Hin. We had a really nice conversation. I didn't film her, but it was interesting talking to someone else who'd chosen this kind of lifestyle. And sitting there, looking out over the beach, I started thinking, could I actually do this every morning? Not for a week, not while I'm on holiday, but for years. Because this is the part of Thailand that looks absolutely fantastic when you're thinking about retirement. The beach, the weather, the freedom. But eventually, does it just become normal? I suppose that's what I'm trying to work out during these 24 hours. What will my actual life here look like once the holiday feeling wears off? Because eventually, retirement involves something a little less glamorous. Going grocery shopping. If I actually lived here, at some point I'd have to do a food shop. So I've given myself today 500 baht. I'm going to see what I can get. I went over to Big C at Blueport and started looking around. I wasn't going home straight away, so I didn't want to buy loads of fresh food. I just wanted to see what I could get for 500 baht. So I picked up some Heinz ketchup for 32 baht, baked beans for around 62 baht, cornflakes for 69 baht, and some eggs for 62 baht. And then I found the PG tips. 319 baht. For tea? That's one item took up more than half my budget. So at this point I was thinking I might have made a bit of a mess of this challenge, and I clearly need to go back to school and work on my maths. But this actually tells you something quite useful. If you're buying imported products, you can burn through your budget very quickly. And that's something you'll come across quite a lot when you retire in Thailand. But there are bargains too. Those Heinz baked beans were only about 65 baht, which surprised me because I've seen them for much more elsewhere. So you really do have to look around and keep an eye out for those special offers. And then I went over to Villa Market. Now this is a completely different experience. It's much more geared towards Western products, and there's a lot more choice. You got imported food, cheese, meats, bread, coffee, and all the things you might recognise from back home. It's a bit of a Western bubble really. The staff were incredibly friendly, almost a little too friendly for me, and you can tell they're used to dealing with a lot of foreigners in the shop. And generally, you're going to pay a little bit more here. Not for everything, but generally. But you get more choice. And that's really the interesting thing about living in Thailand. It's not necessarily that everything is cheap. It's that you have a choice. You can eat locally, shop at Thai markets and buy the things people normally buy. Or you can walk into a place like Villa Market and recreate a much more Western lifestyle. But the more you try to recreate the life you had back home, the more you're likely to pay for it. And that's something worth thinking about before you retire here. By now, I'd been out for a few hours and I was getting hungry again, so I headed over to Market Village for lunch. I went downstairs to the food court, and this is actually a really good place to eat. It's basically like having street food inside a shopping mall. I went for some beef noodles, which were around 65 baht. Very good value and very tasty. You could have pork, chicken, or plenty of other Thai dishes, and there's Western food there as well. But there's a lot of Thai food, and that's what I like about a place like this. You can get a really good meal without spending much money. And Market Village itself is really convenient. You got shops, banks, pharmacies, restaurants, pretty much everything you need for everyday life. Between Market Village and Blueport, you've got most of the things you're going to need in Hua Hin. And that's something I've noticed during this little experiment. When you're thinking about retirement, it's easy to focus on the beach, the weather and the lifestyle. But having somewhere like this nearby, where you can just come and get on with your everyday life, that's actually pretty important. It's not glamorous, but it's definitely useful. And when you're living somewhere rather than holidaying there, usefulness matters. Now this is something I don't think people talk about enough when they talk about retirement. It's early afternoon, it's hot, I don't have work, I don't have anywhere I need to be, and suddenly I've got several hours of completely free time. You've spent your whole working life wishing you had more free time. And then you retire, and suddenly you've got that free time every single day. For some people that's going to be fantastic, but for the others it could become a problem, a boredom problem. Because work gives your day a structure. Take that away and you've got to create your own routine. What would I actually do with all that time? Well, I suppose you could start by keeping yourself fit. And that's another thing I need to think about if I actually lived here. How would I keep myself active? I don't want my retirement to just become eating, drinking coffee and sitting around. Fortunately, there are plenty of options. The hotel here has a swimming pool on the roof, so I went for a swim, and actually I really enjoyed it. You can swim a few lengths, cool down and just spend some time in the water. You don't have to become a serious swimmer, it's just an easy way of getting some exercise without making it feel like a workout. And if you prefer the gym, there's a Jet's 24-hour fitness in Market Village. It's right in the centre of town, and from the prices I saw, you're looking at roughly 1,500 baht a month if you take the 12-month membership, although there are different options. I didn't join obviously, I'm only here for 24 hours, but if I actually lived in Hua Hin, I'd certainly consider it. It's close, it's well equipped, and a gym can be a good way of getting out of the house and meeting people. And that's really the point. Keeping fit in retirement isn't just about losing weight or building muscle. It's about staying strong enough to enjoy your life. Walking, swimming, going to the gym, getting out and about, and just having things in your day that give you somewhere to go. Because that's starting to become a theme for me. Having the freedom is great, but you've still got to decide what you're going to do with it. By late afternoon, I'd been out for most of the day, so I decided to head back towards the centre of Hua Hin and see what was happening. I was actually planning to go to the night market, but as I got closer, I realised there was something else going on. There was a huge market and event happening near the train station, with food stalls everywhere and hundreds of people out. I had absolutely no idea this was happening tonight. There was live music, performances, loads of food and people everywhere. And it was actually a bit of a shock, in a good way. This is one of those things you don't necessarily plan for when you're looking at retirement somewhere. You might think you've got a quiet little beach town, and then suddenly there's a huge local event happening right in the middle of town. I wandered around for a while, had a look at all the food stalls and took in the atmosphere. And this is probably more representative of everyday life here than some of the things I've shown you earlier. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes there's absolutely loads going on. And you can just decide what you want to do. After that, I carried on down to Bindabad and stopped off for a couple of beers. It's about a 20-minute walk from where I was staying, so again, I was deliberately trying to do as much as possible by walking. And by this point, I was getting pretty tired actually. I'd been walking around Hua Hin all day, I'd eaten more than enough, and I'd had a couple of beers. So I thought it was probably time to call it a night. And that's something else I learned today. Retirement doesn't necessarily have to be exciting all the time. Some days you might go out, explore, meet people and discover something completely unexpected. Other days you might just stay at home and do absolutely nothing. And I think I'd be quite happy with either. Tomorrow though, I've got one more thing I want to find out. Right, time for the numbers I think a lot of you have been waiting for. I kept the receipts from the day, so let's add everything up properly. So the hotel was 1,022 baht. Breakfast was 195 baht. Big C shopping was 550 baht. Lunch at Market Village was 65 baht. A coconut at Top Secret Cafe was 89 baht. And 3 cheeky Leos at Bindabat was 300 baht. So my 24-hour retirement experiment cost me 2,221 baht. Now obviously that's not what every retiree is going to spend. It's simply what I spent over these 24 hours. I didn't use taxis, I didn't pay for the gym, and I didn't have an expensive dinner. So this isn't a complete retirement budget, but it is real numbers. It's what I actually spent. And I think that's much more useful than simply saying you can retire in Thailand for X amount of money. Because your costs are going to depend on the life you want to live. You can spend more, you can spend less. And that's really what I've been finding out during these 24 hours. It's not simply, is Thailand cheap? It's what kind of life do I actually want to live here? So, could I actually retire in Hua Hin? Well, I've been coming here for years, so I already knew I liked this place. But spending 24 hours here while actually thinking about what my everyday life would look like was useful. And honestly, yeah, I could live here. I like the pace of life, I like the beach, the food's great, everything is convenient, and you can live pretty simply if you want to. Would I get bored? Maybe. Would the heat eventually get to me? Probably. But I think those are things I have to work around, wherever I'm going to live. And that's what this little experiment has shown me. Hua Hin doesn't feel like a holiday destination to me anymore. It feels like somewhere I could actually live. And I really enjoyed doing this. Although by the end of the day, all the walking and the few beers in Bindabat, I was definitely ready for bed. And if you've enjoyed this video and you want to help fund the next experiment, you can always support the channel by buying me a coffee, or in this case, a couple of Leos. But seriously, thanks for coming along with me. I really enjoyed making this one, and I'd genuinely like to know, could you actually live this lifestyle for years? Or does it sound great for 2 weeks, but not for 20 years? Let me know in the comments below, guys. Thanks for watching today, and I'll see you on the next one.